Well, welcome back. I am going to take today to do a little bit of talking about lighting. It is one of the things that I battle with the most here in the house, but I also sort of battle it from time to time outside. We'll deal with that on another occasion. But I wanted to talk to you just a little bit today about the reason there are two things that if you're wanting to start a YouTube channel, and you want to do it with just your phone or whatever you have, there are two things that can make or break every video that you do. One is audio. I'm recording with a microphone today because I will be walking away from the camera quite a bit, and I want to be able to at least pick up audio that's the same volume throughout. I will run it back through Adobe Podcast Enhanced because the audio from this microphone sucks. But the second thing is lighting, and especially if you decide to get like a ring light or some other kind of light that's going to be close to you while you're filming. If you're wearing glasses and that ring light starts showing up everywhere, it can be really, really distracting. And even if you don't, if you're too close, the ring light is going to be so strong, it's going to blot out your eyeballs and nobody will be able to see your face. And so, I've talked about the fact that I'm using in this particular setup, I'm using my kitchen light, which is pretty strong, and I'm using my dining room light next to me, which is also pretty strong. And yesterday, one of those lights went out. Now, it turned out the light bulb was fine. I guess it was just loose. But I did notice when I went back and looked at that video, I liked the lighting better with only one light. So I'm going to sit here for just a second. This is what the light looks like with all the lights on. And I'll be right back. This is what the light looks like after I've unscrewed one of the dining room lights. I have two hanging over the table. And the reason I liked it better is because with this lighting, I get a fairly strong light on this side of my face and a much weaker light on this side of my face. And it gives me more shadow, which allows me more depth in the video. So that's really important. Now, let me walk you around the room a little bit so that you can kind of see where the best place is to get light if you're trying to video inside and where the worst places are to get light. Now, I have talked about several times how bad the light is here in my kitchen if I'm trying to do something here. If I don't have another light that's pointed at me to offset the light that's directly above, it's making my hair totally blown out and my face just goes absolutely dark. This is maybe the worst possible light you could ever have. And you have to try to get away from that. And there are inexpensive lights that you can buy if that's what you want to do. I'm trying to get by without any, but I do have a rather inexpensive LED light that I may use eventually, but right now I'm trying to get by without that. So this is basically what this setup looks like as I'm standing here trying to record this. Now, we have talked before about the fact that I have my fake phone and my other Manus Z so that I can sort of use it as a teaching tool. And this is what, as I'm standing here in the kitchen, this is the way I had the microphone set up. And this is what the light looks like around me. And it's just absolutely horrible. Nobody wants to watch videos that look like this. Now, they might get by with a minute or two in the middle of a video or whatever, but if this was the entire video, people are going to click off of this in a hurry. Another example of this is standing here trying to use outdoor light, but getting it all behind me. You don't want the light to be behind you. You are in shadow at that point. So if I just simply turn a little bit, and again, I'm letting that brighter light on one side, a little bit of other light on the other side, if I can continue to look at the camera and not at myself, it gives that bit of depth to your face, makes you look very much more realistic. And it is a much better light than one face on. This is a mistake that I made early on in photography, is that I thought I needed to have my subjects looking at the light and I would be focused on them, and it just made their faces flat. But if they turn just slightly and get the light coming in on one side and get this little bit of shadow, this little bit right here, when you can achieve that, that's a Rembrandt shadow. If you look at some Rembrandt paintings, you'll see he was the master of painting light that way. And to use my little teaching tool again, this is the difference. If I'm standing like this and I've got the light behind me, I'm totally in shadow. And you can even see that in this video. I am still in shadow. But if I just turn slightly and let the light come at me sort of at a 45-degree angle, I get a much better vision of light within this screen. Doesn't look so great over there, but within this screen. Now, this is another really bad mistake for lighting. This window that I have here in my apartment, so I live in the basement, so getting window light is hard for me. It's about, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun is right. It's just right directly this way. So it's almost directly in my face here. And it's very hard to get good light. But if I film here in the morning, when the sun is still way back over there, then I'm getting more of a reflective light through the window, a little softer shade of light. This is actually a pretty decent place to film at in my apartment, just not at this time of day. And just so you can see what I'm talking about, this is where I'm standing. So I've got this big, big window here. If I try to video now with the sun this direction, it's just too bright. And it just washes out one side of my face. You could put a sheet over this window, a white sheet over the window, but you can't necessarily open the blinds because you're just going to get lines all over your face if you do that. Now, of course, when I'm videoing here, I'm doing the final scene of the video every time. I pick this spot out for a couple of reasons. One, again, because I have the kitchen light, I have the dining room table light, I have no direct light on me. It's hitting me from both sides. The fireplace in the mantel sort of gives me an interesting backdrop, but I like to video this at night. Again, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now, so it is pretty bright outside. As a result, if I leave this shot zoomed all the way out, you'll see that I've got a door behind me where the light is coming in. Typically what I do is I make sure the TV's off, I turn this light off behind me, I close the door to the studio when I can remember it, and I try to have all of the light concentrated right here on me so that the light all falls off into more darkness behind me. So when I have this door with all this light, I can solve part of that problem by zooming in, which is what I typically do, is I zoom in to get me more in the forefront of the frame, and the area behind me then goes a lot darker. These are just a few things to think about when you're talking about lighting. Now, I've got studio lights that I use when I'm making my regular videos, and they do a great job, but they're also expensive. And to get a stand to put them on, and an umbrella or a lantern or whatever kind of softbox you're going to put around it, all those things start to mount up, and they start to make making videos very, very expensive. So you got to find workarounds. One of the ways to do that is to find the best light you have inside. We'll talk about outside light we'll talk about outside light in another video, but find the best light source that you have inside that is sort of soft, that gives you a nice look on one side of your face, a little bit of fall off on the other side of your face. And then sometimes that means if you're going to use outside light, like if I was going to try to do that on this window back here I was just at, I've only got certain times of the day that I can actually make a video, if that's what I choose to do. So how you choose your light will determine when you can make your video. Now, I am still working on this kitchen and how to video in there without being just awful. And the only thing that I can say right now is I just have to live with it until I can figure it out. I hope this has proved a little bit helpful if you're thinking about making videos, even if it's just family videos at Christmas or somebody's birthday or whatever. Think about the light as you're videoing, because it will make all the difference in how well people respond to it when it's done. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.